Hello, and welcome to Metaphysical Millennial. I'm Jenna Rae, your host and spiritual big sister. This podcast is a cozy corner of the cosmos for the weird, wise, and wonderful, where we explore all things magical, mystical, and metaphysical, with soulful curiosity, glittery wonder, and an open heart. My mission is to hold space for your spiritual journey and guide you back to your truth, to help you feel seen, supported, and connected as you reclaim your power and remember who you really are. So take a deep breath, settle in, and let the magic find you. Hello, Metaphysical Gang, and welcome back to Metaphysical Millennial. I'm Jenna Rae, your host, your spiritual big sister, and your fellow traveler on this journey of self-discovery. I recently went out with a friend for dinner, and she was telling me all about her new girlfriend. This was her very first relationship, and also she had went on her very first date. And this was monumental. She was over the moon explaining this to me, but I could tell that there was a little bit of worry or anxiety around the situation. As she continued to describe to me how she felt and how excited she was, she started to open up a little bit more. And what that led to is her identifying the feelings that although she was very happy and is so over the moon about this relationship, it wasn't exactly the way that she anticipated her life looking in the future. And that led me to make a comment that resonated with me on a cellular level, and I think will resonate with you as well. I said to her, why don't you let go of those expectations and just allow yourself to be happy? After that comment, I realized that I needed to hear that just as much as she did. And it kind of opened up this box, and I started seeing that in a lot of other conversations that I was having, as well as in my personal life. There are countless times that I've been let down because of something that I expected without even really thinking about building that expectation in my brain. Expecting someone to show up for you without saying anything to them. Expecting someone else to reach out to you in a situation that you could have reached out as well. Expectations could also be something that someone projects onto you or that you project onto someone else. The expectations of being at a certain point in your life by a certain time, but not really putting in the work to get there. So I felt like this was a really great topic for us to deep dive into and understand how to break those expectations, and rather than set expectations, set goals. That way we can accomplish the things that we're looking to accomplish, or at least get closer to them. In this episode, we're talking about letting go of expectations, why it's liberating, how it can help you manifest what you actually want, and how it anchors you in the present moment. Cultural conditioning is a real thing. We're expected to go to school, get good grades, get into a great college, meet the love of our lives, buy a house, get married, buy a house, whichever order, have children, and continue on our journey of life. And for some people, that's the way that life goes. However, for many of us, that's just not the case. And trying to live into the expectations that society has boxed us in will only create more issues for us along the road. It can lead to depression, it can lead to anxiety, it can lead to so many other issues because we feel like we're not living up to our full potential or the expectations that the world has set upon us. Social media is also a huge factor in this. We see all of these different influencers and people living lives that maybe we think that we should be living, and it just doesn't serve us. Trying to live into this life script that we feel obligated to follow, we're better off letting go. I guess I want to reframe this because we're not wrong for having expectations. It's literally part of the way that our brains keep us safe, but we are allowed to question if those expectations serve us. I know that I'm guilty of staying in relationships and friendships that no longer served me because of my expectations for those relationships or friendships. Maybe it's a friend that you've known for a super long time and you expected them to be part of your life long term, and unfortunately you've drifted apart and they're just not a part of your story anymore. Or maybe you stayed in a relationship because of who you expected a person to be, although all of the red flags are there. And if you're living in the moment and actually looking at the situation from a bird's eye view, they're not even remotely close to the person that you thought they were. Removing those expectations allows for psychological flexibility. Psychological flexibility is your mental superpower. It's the ability to stay present with your thoughts and feelings without letting them boss you around, and to take action based on your values instead of rigid rules. People with high flexibility handle stress and setbacks way better and report more happiness and goal achievement in the long run. Think about it like a bamboo stalk versus an oak tree in the middle of a storm. The oak tree is strong but rigid, and it can crack under pressure. The bamboo bends and sways, but it doesn't break. That's what psychological flexibility does for us. Or picture your GPS. When you hit a road closure or an accident, it calmly recalculates and finds another route to your destination. That's your mental GPS, helping you reroute instead of getting stuck. Meditation is one of the most powerful ways to help build this flexibility. When you sit quietly and notice your thoughts, you start to see them for what they are, just thoughts. Not facts, not commands, not things that are set in stone. They are just thoughts. This skill is called diffusion in psychology. You might label a thought, oh, that's being anxious, or oh, that is an insecurity of mine, or maybe this is my old timeline story, or this is my perfectionist voice. Simply noticing and naming the thought loosens the grip the same way that stretching loosens a tight muscle. This flexibility doesn't erase your dreams. It actually makes you more likely to reach them because you're open to the alternative routes rather than obsessing over one blocked road. And meditation strengthens the mental muscle that helps you stay open and present to the new opportunities that can appear. Psychologists discovered something called the Zeigarnik Effect. This is an effect described as unfinished tasks or unmet expectations taking up mental space that creates tension and keeps intruding on our thoughts. So our brains are wired to seek closure, and having those unmet expectations or unmet goals take up so much space that it's difficult for us to focus on other tasks or other things. So, for instance, imagine a server who can remember every unpaid order, but as soon as it's closed, they completely forget it. That's what our brains do with unfinished tasks or unmet expectations. Or think of having 47 tabs open in your browser. Each should do is another tab sucking up your mental energy. Every time you release an old expectation, it's like closing a tab. Your mind runs faster, your creativity comes back, and you have more room to manifest the things that you actually want. If meditation really just isn't your thing, journaling is like meditation, but on paper. When you write down your thoughts and feelings, you give them form, and that alone creates distance. You can look at your words and say, okay, this is just the thought I had, instead of feeling so consumed by it. Psychologists call this externalizing. It also closes the loop on the Zeigarnik Effect, that unfinished mental tab. By writing down an expectation, you're acknowledging, okay, I can let this go now. That's why people often feel lighter after journaling. I remember after my first big heartbreak, I journaled all the time. I wrote poetry all the time. I wrote little raps all the time. And in one of my study halls, I had actually reached the last page in my notebook and decided in that moment that I was going to get up and rip up my notebook and throw it in the recycling bin. So for me, I need that symbolism. I need to physically let all of those emotions go. So if you are into journaling and you need that symbolism as well, consider burning your notebook afterwards or burning your journal afterwards to really fully release all of those emotions and things that are tied into what you've been experiencing, or even just ripping them up and throwing them away. Helps me, maybe it'll help you. So I'm not going to pretend like I have released all of the expectations that I've set for myself because that's just not realistic. I still struggle with these expectations that I've been conditioned to hold on to as well. However, I've noticed just being aware that I have these outlying expectations has allowed me to loosen my grip just a little bit to be able to live in the moment more and kind of let go and try to just be present in my own life instead of constantly reaching for those expectations that others have set on me or that I've deep-seatedly set on myself. I feel a little bit more creative. I feel a little bit more relaxed. The tension in my jaw isn't so bad. Realistically, just detaching from those expectations and reattaching to my own personal goals have made me feel so much more in alignment that I feel I'm actually making headway towards those goals rather than just expecting them to happen. People who disengage from like the rigid, unattainable goals and pivot towards new ones report more positive emotions and better health outcomes in the long run too. Long story short, I've realized that every time that I unclench my fists around how life should look, my hands are open to receive what's actually there for me. So bringing this all down to earth, I want to share with you some realistic ways and practical tools that you can use to start letting go of expectations today and building your life in a much happier fashion. At the end of each day, one thing you can do is write down one expectation that you're noticing that keeps popping up in your life that you're holding on to, and ask, is this truly mine or did I inherit it? Just naming it and realizing it helps loosen its grip. If you are into meditation, meditate with the intent of letting go of expectations. So as you're meditating and you realize these expectations that keep popping up into your vision or into your forefront, identify them as expectations and allow yourself to let go of them. This tiny move will help you build that psychological flexibility that we were talking about, and it shows your brain that thoughts are just thoughts. And then use your journal to externalize expectations. Write the thought or goal down and how it makes you feel and what value it's tied to. If you're ready to release it, write, I release it under that. And that act of seeing it on paper will kind of help close the loop as well. And then you can close that mental tab so you can focus on what actually matters now in the present. There are also somatic release techniques that you can use. So if you do a few minutes of gentle stretching, shaking out your arms, or even dancing, physical movement tells your nervous system that you're safe, and that can create a sense of spaciousness as well. You can also reframe intention. So instead of I must have this by this particular date, shift to the idea of I'm open to receiving this or something better in the right timing. Intention is expansive, expectation is super tight. And when you're imagining your dreams, focus on how you want to feel rather than the exact form. So your brain's mirror neurons and dopamine system respond more to felt experience than specific outcomes. This keeps you present and magnetic to aligned opportunities. Expectation says it must be this way. Intention says, I'm ready for this energy however it arrives. Meditation clears the space, journaling helps you organize it, and your body can then move forward freely. We don't have to abandon our dreams, we just have to release the stranglehold of how they're supposed to unfold. That's where presence, peace, and true magic live. That's a wrap on this episode of Metaphysical Millennial. Thank you so much for tuning in. If today's episode sparked something in your soul, leave a review and share it with a friend who's walking their own magical path. You can also come hang out with me on Instagram and Facebook, and remember, new episodes drop every other Wednesday. Follow and subscribe to stay connected. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and let your magic lead the way.